I think we're live. Are we live, Cassie?
It
You can always.
says now streaming on Facebook.
All right. Well, good morning. Good morning. How are you doing this morning?
I'm good. Good morning. Cheers.
Oh, you've got your froth. That looks amazing. I just
I
have my
do.
coffee. So it's really cold right here. Is it cold where you are?
Yes. I am, it's funny. I have decided I am just 100% immersed with Hudson's senior year. And so I am literally like, this is me. This is
Oh,
me for the whole season. Like I've got a couple hoodies and it's just going to look like I am walking, talking West baseball mom because I have the rest of this baseball season to be ridiculous. And that's just what I've decided to do.
and when did you come upon this decision?
Um, I think I realized it this weekend when they had their preseason tournament in Brunswick. I am just realizing like it's literally a window of time that is just shrinking.
Mhm.
And it's not gonna like you don't get a do-over. There's not, next game, next season. There's none of that. And it's a sobering reality.
Yeah, and I think so on the opposite side of the spectrum, having Ander just graduated from college, he is I think college is a band-aid on a really hairy arm. And it's that as you're ripping it off, like the freshman year, like that's a really hard transition. And then
Yeah.
sophomore, and then you get a little sassy, and then you get some swagger your senior year, and then they come home. And, Andrew graduated. He didn't graduate early. He graduated in December for various reasons. And so now he's putting his resume together. And it was funny because yesterday he was doing it with his professor and he's been kind of going back and forth with it. And I'm like, oh my gosh, what in the world? I mean, this professor never, I felt was never like this specific, but he really is concentrating. It was his mentor. It's like, it's your first impression. And a lot of times, like we don't say all the things we bring to the table.
Right.
And that's kind of what this resume is doing. It is speaking for you, right? Before you even get to the table.
Right.
And so while you're going through the feels of the first of four
Mm.
going to college and leaving the nest, I'm kind of going through the feels of, oh, he's out on his own.
Yeah.
And he will hopefully come on family vacation still. And I mean, I knew this, and I even said it last summer. It was probably the last summer I'd have all four under the roof.
Yeah.
So um, it's very, I don't, it's like, I can't be sad. I mean, I just,
No, it's not a sadness that well, I mean, there's waves. But it's also just I think for me more than anything, it's just commitment to be fully present in that moment. I look at him and the young man that he's become and how independent he is and how savvy he is and how determined he is to create what he wants in life. And, I look at his sense of humor and, how kind and respectful, like we always get great comments. And, then at the same time, there's reminders where it's like they still need you, right? So it's coming to terms with someone who will always be my baby, but also like a full-fledged functioning contributing adult.
yeah, I think there was this funny thing over the holidays where the dad that was sharing the text. Now, I'm sure they've gotten just silly at this point, but when you say always need you, it's funny when they do make that transition, whether it's just out of the home, gap year, into college, whatever that looks like, some of the questions that kind of come back, I'm like, really? I mean, I could tell you some like really, really, really funny stories, and you don't, I don't know. It's like they're under your roof, they are making decisions, they're confident, they're doing like all of the things, but then when they get to college, I mean, I don't know. Like some of it just kind of, And you're like, wait a minute, there will be this
Mhm.
major shift and this major transition. And so I have the one that has graduated from college and getting ready to get a job. And Jack is in his senior year too, right? And so this ties up a bow of 15 years of homeschooling. Like I won't be a homeschooling mom. I won't be a homeschooling mom anymore.
I just like, I have to applaud you because my kids begged me for years. And for me, I just told it like for the sake of our relationship.
Oh, it's different. It's
So you have done an amazing job. Your kids are incredible. They're smart, they're savvy, they're sassy, like all the things that you want a human to bring to the table.
yeah. Well, thank you for that. I wasn't saying that for that, but I
Oh, no,
appreciate
no, no, no.
I
I mean,
think the
I gotta, throw the confetti when I can.
I think what makes me cry, and I know you just got an iPad, but at night sometimes like those memories pop up, and then of course they put like this amazing song, and I like see the kids when they were itty bitty, and oh my God, like I can't look at it anymore. It makes me cry so much.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like seeing like portraits through the ages or holiday time with family, or they'll highlight one of the kids and I'll see when they were itty bitty, and I'm just like, oh my God, stop. I mean, we have to look onward and all of the exciting things that are going to happen. Because I'm assuming sometime in May, right? Hudson graduates in May.
Yes, I need to get it on the calendar. Yes, we got all of the information and it's funny. I think we could do a whole, being in the business that we're in, like there's spurts of information that comes out. And as a parent of a senior, I just want an information packet with everything. And I just want to write one check that covers everything that we need to do for the year. Because there's just like little bursts of like, oh my God, did we order his cap and gown? Did we schedule his yearbook pictures? Did he select his yearbook? Like all of these little timelines. And it's just, I just need a little roadmap where it's like, here's the calendar. So yeah. But we're trucking along, but I need to get that date on the calendar because I know he's going to want some parties or whatever like that.
Yeah, so you do make that. So just so you know, like the first one defines like all of the others coming behind him. I mean, apologize to Andrew, apologize to Hudson. It's like trial by fire.
Yeah.
Because now like they're in a flow, and by the time you get to Farah, I mean, you're gonna be able to do it with your eyes closed and you'll just be bawling because your eyes are closed. And it's interesting for each one that goes after, it's like this rite of passage that, Andrew didn't do sports, but Thomas did. Maggie and Thomas did. And there are certain things that Maggie did, and there's certain things that Thomas did that now Jack is looking forward to, because he started with track and field, even though we homeschool. Oh my gosh. So we homeschool, but we can still participate with the high school sports. We can do that. But I have to give everything and my bra size in order to allow this child to participate in track and field. And, I send it off with this packet clipped, all 50 pages, signed, documented. And even now, like Jack kind of laughs at it. He'll say, yeah, and they threatened if you don't bring it this day, then they're not going to let you come. But you know that they're going to let you come. It's our breathing that we have to do. Oh,
Oh, let me tell you, I have done I am so grateful for personal development and meditation and breath work. It's, okay, here's a tangent. I'm just going to give you a warning. So when we talk about that, like breathing and meditation, I was asking Farah the other day because it's so funny that you said that. Like by the time you get to number 4, it's like clockwork. And I feel like awareness, processing emotion, and just grace and forgiveness. Like that kid has got it going on at 9 years old. And I was asking her the other day, has she been practicing her breath work? And just so nonchalantly, she's like, "Oh, yeah, mom, we do that every day in class." And I was just like, my heart just about burst out of my chest that not only am I working with her at home, but they're teaching her that tool set in class. And, they like she was showing me how they traced their fingers to teach them how to expand the length of time they breathe out and breathe in. So she's got like 4 or 5 different strategies. And I am just like so grateful because as a human race, if more people just were given the permission to one admit that they have emotions and process those emotions without guilt. I mean, it just changes the game for us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, it's funny because I didn't share with you today's topic, but we've kind of been talking about this topic all morning. Um, and I think it's a real appropriate topic. How we figured out where to focus our time
Oh,
and
yeah.
energy. I feel like as business owners, I feel like we try to operate in a bubble. Like we could work, and I mean, I think I did this in corporate America. They would like not say, "No, Rhonda, you don't need to work anymore."
Yeah.
They would want you to without telling you to, but you knew that you needed to. And like with business, I felt like at some point, I'd say it only take me a second, and I'd hold up my finger, and then my kids got sassy and they would go 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi, 3 Mississippi. I was like, okay, I get it. I've got what you're saying. Um, and so how would you answer the question? Because you've already answered, you're being focused as the baseball mom, and that's where your energy is flowing to. So for you in business, how do you figure out where to focus your energy?
So for me, I think there's several layers to that question where, um, we have projects going on. We have decisions to make from day to day and the team and the business and things like that, scaling ads, all of that type of stuff. I think there is constants that that I don't know. I think here there's buckets of priorities, right? So there's constants that need to kind of that's where your KPIs are every single day. And it doesn't do you any good to spend your energy outside of measuring, adapting, reacting, and then let the data set cycle through again. And for me, it's been a really big discipline to not let my mind obsess. Because when we have some goals, sometimes my mind obsesses and then it distracts me from other things that I need to put my time and focus and energy on. So I think there's buckets and then there is sort of like priority ranking. Um, what can you put a timeline to? What is happening like right now, here in the moment? And then what possibly can be, eliminated, delegated, or kind of rejiggered to be simple. And, that's one of the questions that we come back to all of the time is this as simple as it can be? Because I think we naturally overcomplicate things. So I think if I was to rank them in priority, it goes to like what absolutely is disappearing that my attention has to be here in this present moment. Then moving to sort of how can I proactively prepare a timeline to preserve more of those present moments. And then finally, what have I just overcomplicated the hell out of that someone else's zone of genius would be better to take responsibility from me for that particular project or task?
Okay, so I've got a story from last night that is going to sum everything up, kind of. So I'm going to tell the story and then you can like tie everything up with a bow. So Daniel has a I want to say 65 Ford truck. And he's been working on this truck. He and Thomas were working on it together. And then it was a driver. He was driving this truck to work. And then something happened and it stopped running. And Daniel has literally for I want to say 3 months, off and on, not constant. YouTube is the school of anything. And so he's constantly like going and researching. He's in the manual, he's trying different things. Making dinner last night, we're in here, and all of a sudden he says, I've got to go do this. And he ran out of the house and he said, could it just be that simple? And oh my gosh, he did it. He drove that truck, which has not been driven in like, I want to say 60, 90 days, down the driveway. We've got a really long driveway, and drove it back. And he was like, I can't believe I overcomplicated it. It was so, watching him in that time was so, he was going, it was so frustrated. Like, and we felt this in business. It's so frustrating. And it was almost like this fire drill. Wait, he saw something. He's like, it can't be that simple. It can't be. Ran out of the house and immediately implemented, and it worked. That is where your time and attention needs to be. So now he can go do other things and stop worrying. There have been a lot of monkeys on his back, I would say, over the past, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, and that truck being one of them. And I'm like, let's just tow it down to the shop and have him fix it, you know? But he just did not give up. And I think just that idea, I know 100% we overcomplicate everything. And that is one of the many questions that we ask. Is this as simple as it could be? I was just on with Heather and I was just like, we just need to do an assessment of the business and see, because I know where our time and attention and focus is right now. And how can we further maximize and streamline that? And so, y'all, how can you figure out where to focus your time and attention? I mean, ultimately, guys, and I know as women, we don't like to talk about money. It feels very uncomfortable because we like to make impact, but I will be that voice in your head today. It is about the bottom line. It is about the bottom line. What is your revenue generator, and what are you doing to optimize and streamline that? So when you want to go and you want to work on your truck, you can. When you want to go to a baseball game, when you want to go to track and field or out to lunch with your son, you can. I mean, this has been a fantastic episode.
Well, I know one of our priorities right now is scaling our ads, and you're working on headlines and hooks. And I feel like we've just talked through a couple of them right now. It's like business gets to be simple. Yes, business can be simple. When we look at it and we just look at that statement, it's you talk about sometimes when you're stressed, your shoulders are up to your ears, but like when you reframe that, and it's like it is a constant evaluation of, am I consistently putting out fires? Or if I took a step back, and I think this is probably a great caveat to today's episode is, are you constantly reacting and putting out fires? And that's why you don't have any time or, attention. Like I know at certain phases in my business, I was at the bottom of the totem pole. I was pouring my heart and my strategy into building other people's business. And like when I got to mine, I had nothing left over. I was just so like wrung out like a sponge. I just didn't have anything else to give. And, we flips that in our business where it's like the first part of the day, the first part of the morning, it's mine, it's ours, right? Client calls are in the afternoon, and we're very limited. And through cycling our dreamies, we're very, very, very particular on who we take on, because we even had a client one time, and you probably remember this conversation, where we were evaluating their processes on what was going to be delegated and what they were going to keep in their zone of genius. And one particular thing, and he was like, that only takes me about 5 or 10 minutes, right? Like it's not a big deal. And, but then, so, we put it into a category and we moved on down the list. And then about 15 minutes later, we circled back around to it. And he's like, but you know what? it burns me out for the rest of the day. And that was sort of like that little aha moment where he's like, this needs to be removed from my plate. It's not the amount of time that I'm spending on something, it's the amount of energy exchanged for that particular moment in time, focus, strategy, whatever it is. If it literally depletes 8 to 16 hours of productivity, right? Then what is it? So I would encourage you, just like what we're doing and reevaluating certain things, it's don't look at it as a one and done process. Don't look at, I don't think anything in business is a one and done. I think the biggest, the biggest myth that we constantly battle with systems is that they are evolving, living, and breathing systems. People think that they're just going to get them buttoned up and they're tight and it's going to be precision. And now they're just like this, massive factory producing, producing, producing. And the thing is, like, even those massive factories, like we used to live by the Anheuser-Busch plant. And I loved going there. I love mass production. I love looking at each and every little station that's optimized and automated and overhead, like every little square inch of that factory was optimized and taken advantage of. And if they could speed it up and do like 1 million bottles a minute or whatever, they did. But even those processes are optimized with technology and updates and software and, people power, all of that type of stuff. The way that they produce it isn't the same that they did it, even 10 years ago. And I think we need to realize as business owners that our internal operating system and our actual systems that support our business are exactly the same way. And once you start looking at it through that filter of grace and optimization, I think we're a lot less hard on ourselves because we're not chasing perfection, we're chasing innovation.
Oh my goodness. All right. Well, that was a perfect way. And it actually kind of gets into another episode that we may have this week. So, for all of the resources that we've talked about today, make sure that you go to our amazing Canva website, gogirlchat.com. You can subscribe to this podcast, and we are republishing over there. So, you can actually see us. If you don't see us, you can see us and watch them over there as well. So, we hope you have an amazing rest of your day. And again, go to gogirlchat.com. Take care. We'll talk soon.